The United States has elected Donald J. Trump as its 47th president. This victory marks a stunning comeback for the former president. At 78, he is also the oldest person to assume the presidency. Trump's victory has sent shockwaves across the nation and the world. His return to power signifies a deeply divided nation. As he prepares for his second term, the nation watches, waits, and wonders what the future holds. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The final days of the 2024 presidential campaign were a whirlwind of rallies, speeches, and last-minute appeals to voters. Both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris crisscrossed the country, hoping to sway undecided voters in key battleground states. Harris, the Democratic nominee, focused her message on unity and healing. She called for an end to the partisan rancor that had come to define American politics. She promised to bring the country together and address the many challenges facing it. Trump, on the other hand, stuck to his familiar playbook. He held large rallies where he energized his base with fiery rhetoric. He attacked Harris as a radical socialist who would destroy America. He also continued to sow doubt about the integrity of the election, claiming that it was rigged against him. Election day dawned with the nation on edge. The stakes were high and the outcome uncertain. As the polls closed and the votes began to be counted, it became clear that the race would be close. Even before a single vote was cast, Donald Trump was already laying the groundwork to challenge the legitimacy of the 2024 election. He repeatedly claimed, without evidence, that the election would be rigged and stolen from him. He encouraged his supporters to watch the polls for signs of fraud. These claims were widely condemned by election officials from both parties. They stated unequivocally that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud. They assured the public that the election would be conducted fairly and securely. However, Trump's rhetoric had its intended effect. It sowed doubt about the election among his supporters. It also created an atmosphere of fear and distrust. This made it more difficult to ensure a peaceful and orderly transfer of power. As the vote count dragged on and the results in key states remained too close to call, Trump's claims grew louder and more insistent. He accused his opponents of trying to steal the election. He called for recounts and legal challenges. Section 4. Pennsylvania. The tipping point. The 2024 presidential election came down to Pennsylvania. The Keystone State, with its 20 electoral votes, held the key to the White House. Both campaigns poured resources into the state, recognizing its pivotal role in determining the outcome. Trump had won Pennsylvania by a narrow margin in 2016. However, polls showed a tight race in 2024. Harris campaigned hard in the state, focusing on turning out black voters and suburban women. Trump, meanwhile, relied on his base of white working-class voters. As the votes were counted, it became clear that Pennsylvania would be close. The lead shifted back and forth between the candidates. The nation watched with bated breath as each new batch of votes was reported. In the end, it was Trump who eked out a narrow victory in Pennsylvania. The margin was less than 1%, but it was enough to give him the state's electoral votes. With Pennsylvania in his column, Trump had secured the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. Section 5. A nation divided, the aftermath of a contentious election. The 2024 presidential election exposed the deep divisions that exist within American society. The country was split nearly down the middle, with roughly half the electorate voting for Trump and half for Harris. Trump's victory was met with a mix of jubilation and despair. His supporters celebrated his return to power, seeing it as a victory for the forgotten men and women of America. His opponents, on the other hand, were devastated, fearing that his presidency would further divide the country and erode democratic norms. The aftermath of the election was marked by protests and unrest. In cities across the country, people took to the streets to express their anger and frustration. Some protests turned violent, with clashes breaking out between protesters and police. The country was deeply polarized, and it was unclear how or if it could ever be healed. The 2024 election had been a referendum on the soul of America, and the results showed just how divided the nation had become. Trump's second term and the future of American politics. As Trump prepares for his second term, the nation wonders what his presidency will bring. Will he be a unifying figure or further divide the country? Will he govern as a moderate or far-right ideologue? Only time will tell. The stakes are higher than ever. The future of American democracy depends on Trump's choices.